And since that time, because of that, I have written literally hundreds of self-talk programs on every possible subject, and that's why, as I've said, there are thousands of people listening to self-talk all over the world every day. My favorite of all of the programs I've written is certainly the Lifetime Library, and that's because it's a library of self-talk. It has self-talk for every possible circumstance in life. And then, of course, there is self-talk for weight loss, which I know what happened to me and how well it worked for me. I've seen that happen now for many other people since that time. There are also outstanding self-talk programs for people in business, people who want to reach goals. And there are great self-talk programs for kids. I happen to personally believe that there is no home that should be without self-talk, the right kind of self-talk for children. The reason so many people are listening to self-talk is because the law of repetition works. By changing their programs, they're changing their self-talk. By changing their self-talk, they're changing their futures. And by changing their futures, they're changing their lives.
Thank you, Dr. Shad Helmstetter, for that nice little lesson on how we get recorded, how our recordings, our DVDs get set in our subconscious mind, which is something that we said continuously on this show in all different kinds of ways, and we'll continue saying that. Would you mind turning that one down there, Mr. Mitch, please?
That's what it is. I keep hearing that loud. Perfect.
There we go.
All right, yeah. So, I love that he talked about that law of repetition, that just by hearing it over and over and over and over again. And, most of those things that you're hearing over and over again, they start before you're even aware of it, usually before people are even 7 years old or before you're even 10 years old, just things that you're hearing out in the world. Your subconscious mind, which is the part of your mind that's going to be acting out for the rest of your life, that part of your mind doesn't have any way to distinguish. It really only reasons deductively. So I know I've talked about this in past shows where I kept hearing when I was a kid, my brother I was a twin, he was kind of a little bit
You're
more...
still a twin.
I'm still a twin, that's right. And he was a little bit more insecure than I was, so my parents used to always tell him that he was the smart one. So deductive reasoning would kick in over and over again, and I kept thinking I was the stupid one, and that's the kind of programming, the law of repetition. I keep thinking that thought becomes a belief. Anything you think over and over again becomes a belief, and then that belief starts really determining your outcomes. And if it's a belief that feels pretty bad, you're going to start attracting things into your life that are a reflection of that feeling and attract to you situations that will always support that thought or idea that was really never true to begin with. Am I making any sense?
You're making perfect sense.
I feel like I'm babbling on and on and
on.
No,
I get totally,
so passionate about this.
Sense. I was actually thinking about, was having a little regression to the negative self-talk I used to give myself. Because when I was a kid, if I tripped or did something awkward, I would hear from family members, and, oh, Brandy's really klutzy. She's such a klutz. So I started, saying that to myself. I'm such a klutz. I would actually say that to people, tell me something about yourself. Oh, I'm a real klutz. And, bowling ball, falling in the middle of the lane, running into glass doors. I used to fall down a lot. And then I changed my positive self-talk into I stay upright.
I am balanced.
I'm balanced. And actually, since I did that, I haven't had one of those incidences. And I just don't even think of myself. Actually, I think I move with grace and ease, and that's what I say to myself all the time. So I changed that negative self-talk from I'm a klutz to I move with grace and ease. And it's actually pretty easy to do once you realize what you're up to and that you pay attention to the negative self-talk, because it happens sometimes under the radar. We don't even realize that we're doing it.
And one of the ways, I just want to throw this in here because it's true. It happens all the time without our awareness of it. It happens all day long. I hear it from myself. I hear it from other people. And I just want to give you guys a little clue. Pay attention to how you feel. Your emotions are your guidance system. So if you're having self-talk that's positive, you're probably going to be feeling pretty uplifted. People around you, if you're talking to other people, are going to feel pretty uplifted. You'll see it in their face. If you're having negative self-talk, then notice how you feel. I make up that it's probably not going to feel that good. That is your signal right then to change your self-talk. And it's usually as simple as reversing the thought. Like Brandy was just saying, instead of, oh, I'm such a klutz, I move with grace and ease. If I'm thinking, oh, God, I'll never get that done, I must be so stupid, the reversal of that is, well, of course, it's easy to get that done because I must be smart. That feels good. So just as a reminder, notice your emotions. That's your guidance system.
And the Mayo Clinic did a little article. Boy, that's specific. The Mayo Clinic put out an article in, let me see what the date is. It's 2007, May 31st, 2007, talking about practicing a stress management skill of positive thinking and positive self-talk and the important benefits of it. And one of the things they talk about in this article that I think it's really important to exemplify here is that Mitch and I have been talking about saying, like, I must be stupid, or I am a klutz, cancel, I move with grace and ease. But there's also self-talk about things that go along out in the world. So, like, there's no hope, or why would this, everybody's honest, not honest, and all of these different kinds.
Life is hard. Life is a struggle. Why does it have to be so hard? I hear that, especially now. I hear that quite a bit from people.
So, and the Mayo Clinic actually points out, and this is something that most of us know, that folks who tend to have a lot of negative thoughts or negative self-talk about themselves or the world are considered or labeled as pessimists. And those that have positive self-talk about themselves or the world are labeled as optimists. So what they say in the article is that researchers continue to explore the effects of positive thinking and optimism on health. Health benefits that positive thinking may provide include, and here we have the bulleted list, decreased negative stress. Now, I want to make a point here. When you use the word negative stress, there's actually two types of stress. There's distress, which is what we call negative stress, the stress that we can't handle, and eustress. These were coined by Hans Selye back in the 1920s when he was doing his experiments. And eustress is actually that stress that gets us going, that we get excited about, that anticipation keeps us moving. And we actually do need some stress in our lives to,
keep us motivated.
Yeah, and get out there. But so having positive thinking and optimism decreases that negative stress, but doesn't do anything about decreasing the eustress, which is the good stress. Then we need that. So just because you think that everything's going to be okay doesn't mean that you're not going to be motivated to do the things that you need to do. So, okay. Greater resistance to catching the common cold. If I think positively, I have greater resistance to reducing the common cold. That is really cool.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, even Dr. Shad Helmstetter talked about how just listening to positive self-talk, I mean, I forget the number, but he lost quite a bit of weight. His wife lost 38 pounds. His wife lost 25 pounds. So positive self-talk, those thoughts have a physical impression on our body and changes our physiology. So pretty amazing.
Absolutely. A sense of well-being and improved health is one of the benefits of practicing positive thinking, self-talk, and optimism. Reduced risk of coronary disease. Easier breathing if you have certain lung disease, such as asthma. So, that's really interesting. Yeah.
It comes back to breathing all the time. It's amazing. Being in the human condition and breathing, they seem to go along pretty well, don't they?
So positive self-talk, Mitch, can improve coping ability for women with high-risk pregnancies. This is published by the Mayo Clinic, and better coping skills during hardships. So, lots of health benefits for just changing that negative thinking into positive thinking. And there's actually a system or a way to do that. So you want to talk a little bit about how people can change that? The points that we have and how they can...
Writing, well, some of the ways to write, to set that self-talk up, is that where we are right now?
That's where I'm headed with that little intro.
Yeah, there's actually a few guidelines to when you're creating that self-talk, that you're going to be reversing everything that doesn't feel good, all the negative limiting ideas and thoughts and images that are in your mind, in your life. As you're recreating those and reversing those, there are some guidelines.